Hey, Shams. People got a question for you.
Oh, waste of time.
Oh, yeah. That was Shams.
Yeah, I want to
The guy just called me. Look.
Come on,
Yeah.
quick.
No, it's a waste of time.
I want to ask you. Remember,
Yeah.
every time you ask me a question, I
Hey,
always answer.
Allah has two right hands. Is that literal or no?
Yeah, that's what I want to ask
Two
you.
right hands.
I have to go. I told you I have to go. Okay.
Quick, very quick.
You want clarification for the right hand?
Yes, because
Yes,
what
okay.
you say,
Yeah.
you say Christians lie
Lie.
and say Allah has two right hands.
They
But you're doing
mistranslated.
ta'wil,
There's no ta'wil.
All right.
Okay, what is ta'wil? Define ta'wil.
given a allegorical interpretation to something.
Allegorical explanation. Was it?
An allegorical
Well,
explanation. to
define
something.
allegorical.
Like, for example, people of Sunnah al Jama'ah, they'll say Allah has a body, right?
No, I don't say that.
Or has not a body, but has two hands, a face, blah blah blah. Some Muslims, if you ask them, they'll say no. Allah doesn't have anything. They'll just say this is allegorical.
but they ask you that. What is ta'wil? What is
That's
ta'wil?
what I'm saying. So I'm
They-
saying it's an allegorical interpretation of something because you said it means Allah's hands are blessed or His power.
No, I didn't say that.
You said
yeah,
you can
bless,
clarify
bless.
what you said.
So anyway,
I'm
first
paraphrasing what you
of
said.
all, that's this subject of the ta'wil. There's two types of ta'wil. There's a praiseworthy ta'wil and a blameworthy ta'wil. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, وَمَا يَعْلَمُ تَأْوِيلَهُ إِلَّا اللَّهُ وَالرَّاسِخُونَ فِي الْعِلْمِ. That no one knows the ta'wil. Ta'wil has been used here. So ta'wil, there's three meanings for ta'wil. There is the explanation of the verse,
Yeah.
okay, and there is a ta'wil which is the reality of something. Reality.
Okay.
For example, Day of Judgments. We don't know Day of Judgments, how it would occur. So the ta'wil of it, meaning the meaning of it and the reality of it here,
Yeah.
is belong to Allah. Now let's go back to the right hand.
Yeah.
The right hand, the hadith. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ mentioned that there is yumna because why? There's not a narration. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said Allah has a right hand and a left hand. Are you aware of this narration?
Go on, make your point.
No, I'm asking you, are you aware or not? Just answer.
I'm aware.
You're not. Where is this narration?
Where is it? It's in
Yeah.
Muslim or something like that. Sahih Muslim.
Where?
I don't know.
No.
It's in Sahih Muslim.
It's
Is it in Sahih Muslim?
Okay.
Yes or no?
So-
Wait. Is it in Sahih Muslim?
No, it's not Sahih Muslim.
It's not in Sahih
Yeah,
Muslim.
it's in Muslim
Okay, same thing. You see? So I know it. What
Okay.
you're talking about. So don't say I don't know. I know. What
So
you're talking
now,
about. Right.
well, now when the two right hands been explained,
Yes.
Prophet ﷺ was speaking about the Arab. When Prophet ﷺ said that Allah has the hands
Okay.
and it's the right hand and the left hand.
All right.
From the Arab culture, the pagan culture,
Okay.
that the left hand is not blessed
According to who?
to the Arab culture.
Okay.
So Prophet ﷺ, remember, he's speaking to Arabs. So Prophet ﷺ was to clarify, even Allah has a right hand and left hand, but kiltahuma yumna. Yumna is being used here.
Okay.
There's two roots for it. One of them is which is called tayammun, blessed. Okay? So there is no ta'wil here, which is the incorrect ta'wil. This is correct ta'wil. Why is the correct ta'wil? Because you go in line with the other hadith. What the
Okay.
Christians cannot understand that when it comes to hadith, you compile all the other hadith together to understand the correct meaning of the hadith. Some of them has been narrated by meaning, some of them by wording. Is that clear?
Now, my thing was this.
No, forget about you.
Wait,
think.
wait,
It's not your
let
thing.
me respond.
People,
Wait,
you stop me to ask me
yeah,
questions.
oh,
I'm going to
Shams.
make a statement because you made an accusation against the Christian community. Now I'm going to clarify because
Yeah.
what you did, you lied upon the Christian community to say that they lie
Yeah.
about what the hadith says.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to go to a sheikh, Abu Usama Atanhabi. And if anyone doesn't know who he is, he's a...
Azhar, innit?
No. This one, he's in... what mosque is it? It's, he's
No, it's alive. It's alive. This guy is alive.
So this is
He's alive.
He's alive. He's
Yeah.
an American national.
He's what?
An American national.
He's what?
He's an American national who studied at the University of Medina in Saudi Arabia, right? So he's qualified.
No, he's not qualified because why?
What's your qualification?
Okay, wait.
What's your qualification?
If you allow me to finish, I will
Okay.
speak. Okay.
I just want that one question because I'm going to show you
Bro.
what he said.
No.
I just
I'll
want
tell-
that. Just what are your
Can I-
qualifications?
because
You see?
Why?
Bro,
I'm making a
But let him
point.
finish, Shams.
I'm
Finish.
finished.
Shams, don't
Yeah,
go away,
one
Shams.
question.
Bro.
He's going to go into
You're
one.
asking me a question, so allow me to answer. Don't dictate to me. First of all, as Shamsi, everyone clarified many
All right.
times on the camera,
Okay.
except Donkey cannot understand my clarification. That I said many times when I narrate speech of or when I bring opinions about Islam, it's from the scholars.
All right.
So who said that? Sheikh Salah al-Sheikh. You know who's that?
Okay, go on.
He's the Prime Minister of Islamic Affairs in Saudi. So Abu Usama al-Dhahabi is like chicken to him.
Okay,
You
now let's
understand
listen to
that?
what he says.
خلاص.
Okay, he's going.
al-Dhahabi.
Wait.
Sorry.
Because the thing is this.
Take care of
He's-
yourself because I try to go.
All right, so he's running away.
Oh,
The
no,
PhD
no,
is running
Don't
away.
run away,
I'm
Shams.
gonna play.
A liar.
No, let me make something.
No, he's a liar. No, he's a liar. No, I'm going. I'm going.
But listen to this, though.
Nah.
Shams, listen.
Bro, you can
Shams,
speak to him.
listen, bro. So you can rebut him. Shams, why you running, Shams?
He's walking.
Why you running, Shams?
It's fine. Let's put it on camera because this guy is a sheikh and running away. That's what he's.
Running away, Shams, all the time, Shams.
But let's see.
Come on, paper.
Let's see what this sheikh says.
What does he say?
Look.
When the reality of the issue is number one,
Listen.
that Allah Azza wa Jalla created Adam with his own hand.
Listen.
And in our Aqidah, we should know, understand that Allah Azza wa Jalla has two hands, and both of his hands are right hands,
Right hand.
and both of his hands, they befit his majesty. It's not for us to try to figure what's the reality, to ask about the detail. We say we hear, and we say that we obey.
So now, their own scholar, Sheikh, has said, as a Muslim, you say Allah has two right hands, but you are not allowed to say how. So how is he lying on the Christian community to say we invented this interpretation on the hadith when one of their own Islamic scholars or imams has said the same thing? So Christians are quoting their own people. So this is what I wanted to confront him about. He's run away because Christians did not invent this. Their own people are saying Allah has two right hands, but you cannot say how it is. So therefore we have clearly shown that Shamsi is a kadab. He lies upon the Christians and people believe him. But he's the biggest liar in the park. Why is he lying upon the Christian community?
Shams, come.
But he doesn't
Shamsi,
want to hear. He's
One
run
last
away.
chance, Shamsi. One last time.
But clearly, we can clearly see we did not invent it.
Play it again.
He doesn't want to hear.
Play it again. Play it again.
Let's hear it again.
lost, fully up here.
No, stay. No, I'm staying, bro.
said to him about 5 minutes and
All right.
Yeah, but he didn't rebut that. No, I'm bringing him though to rebut this.
He doesn't want to rebut.
Shamsi!
Let's see, because remember, guys, Shamsi said about Allah having two right hands. Right? Let's listen to what one of their scholars has said.
Play it again. Play it
And hoarding. When the reality of the issue is number that Allah Azza wa Jalla created Adam with his own hands. And in our Aqidah, we should understand that Allah Azza wa Jalla, he has two hands, and both of his hands are right hands, and both of his hands, they befit his majesty. It's not for us to try to figure what's the reality, to ask about the detail. We say we hear, and we say that we obey.
Now, he clearly said Allah has two right hands. And Shamsi, I asked him what is his qualifications. Now this guy, his name's Abu Atanhabi, and he studied at the University of Medina in Saudi Arabia. He knows what he's talking about. We have Shamsi, who has a PhD in Speaker's Corner and a doctorate in running away from debates. So how is he going to say the Christians are lying that Allah has two right hands when clearly their own scholars say the same thing? So this is what he does. That's why I said he's doing tawil. He's given an interpretation on something that's allegorical. But clearly, as a student of the Sunnah al-Wal Jama'ah, you say Allah has two right hands, but we do not know how, and it is befitting of His majesty. That's all they can say. But clearly, he's going against what people teach. And we can even see like what a lot of Muslims say about Shamsi online. Look at some of these comments. Daniel versus Shamsi is basically a non-Muslim versus a non-Muslim, getting criticized from his own community. And it says, why am I not surprised? Shamsi yesterday was a non-practicing sinful street thug who now put on a thobe to tell people it's okay to love a country that's disobedient to Allah. Alhamdulillah, we do not take our religion from him and we are not in need of his misguidance. So clearly the Islamic community is trying to refute this guy. Ali Dow called him what? A cult. And that's why I blatantly came to him with this. He gives his own interpretations and he names scholars no one knows of, or he'll just say something to sound good, or we can bringly reference everything. We've got another comment from YouTube. It says, why is Shamsi arguing with atheist points against the Bible? And then we've got one more. Shamsi, stop doing dawah because you lost the pathway of truth. You are attacking Al-Azhar. And you heard a minute ago, he was attacking Al-Azhar as well because I cited him. One of the best Islamic universities has some of the best scholars.
Maybe Lamy knows. Ask Lamy.
how is he saying this?
Maybe Lamy knows about the two right hands. Ask him. Because
No one will say
he likes to attack the Bible.
Who are you saying?
He likes to attack the Bible all the time. Ask him about.
Who are you saying?
I'm saying Allah has two right hands, and as a Muslim, you're supposed to affirm it, but say we do not know how. You're not supposed to say it's allegorical.
I'm waiting for him. Two right hands.
I don't know if you saw that video of Shamsi. where-
Shamsi doesn't know anything. Why are you asking me?
Thank you very much. At least you're honest.
Cool,
Because that's my
Everlast.
point. He invents his own Islam.
What did he say?
He will say Allah does not have. He said Christians lie upon the hadith and say Allah has two
that
right
one, by the
hands.
Oh shit. Okay.
He says Christians lie upon the hadith and say Allah has two right hands. And I just played a video of one of your sheikhs confirming that Allah has two right hands. He said, do not say how or what it looks like, just affirm it, and that's it.
Alright, can I come back to
Right.
you? I'm not very knowledgeable in Islam. I'm mostly talking about history and culture. But just to speak about this,
Okay.
from what I know, and please don't debate because I don't want to debate. What I know is that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when God speaks about, because you and me, we haven't seen God. We haven't seen the creator, not Jesus, but creator.
Yes.
Now, we haven't seen God. So when God says that, for example, in the Bible, in his hands, he's got the whole world.
Yes.
Right? That doesn't literally mean that God has major human hands holding the whole world. But for us to understand God, we would come to a human level mentality to give us analogy of what we can understand of the world.
So what you're doing is ta'wil. And, no,
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, but this is an allegorical because obviously Shamsi is from the school. He's a Salafi.
Yeah, I'm a Muslim. I don't-
yes,
I don't-
but
yeah.
because his school of thought, they take the Quran literally, everything. So they affirm, as you will say, it's allegorical. But what I'm saying is, he has affirmed many times. He believes in this school of thought where Allah has literal body parts. We don't know how, but he sits on his throne. He has a body in some sort of capacity.
You know even the word throne.
what,
you know, wait,
so
let
what
me-
I'm
let me
saying,
come back to you.
so what
Wait,
all I'm saying is, he affirms that, but now he's now said something's allegorical. So he's even going against what his own beliefs are, and he's accusing Christians of inventing this. but
Inventing what?
That Allah has two right hands.
So do you believe Allah has God has
According
hands?
to your sheikhs, they affirm he has.
No,
but they say
no, Christianity, according to Christianity, do you believe that God has hands?
in Christianity it's very different. The Bible is written in, we call it something called the theory of accommodation. So as you're saying, God communicates in a way we can understand. But I'm saying within Islam, Islamic
So do you
thought,
agree with what I said?
I'm not a Muslim, so I cannot
No,
like,
but
affirm
no, no, wait.
because Allah says he has a throne that he sits on, he has a
Wait,
face,
because
he has
for
hands.
you and me to understand, we have
Yes.
to come from where you're coming from. In Christianity,
Yes.
do you believe that God has hands and arms like us?
In Christianity, we say God's a spirit. He's not like a physical entity.
Okay.
So within the school of Sunnah al-Jama'ah, they say you have to affirm it as Allah has these things literally, but how we don't know. So
Okay.
you're obviously, because you're more of a layman Muslim, so you'll just say this is allegorical.
I'm not layman Muslim. But what I'm trying to tell you is this, yeah. As Muslims, God speaks to us, right? And He tells us about, for example, as human beings. Let's start from here. As human beings, we cannot imagine anything outside.
Okay, look, let me just tell you
Let me
quickly.
finish, man. I was saying something. Don't interrupt me because I let you.
Okay.
As human beings, we cannot imagine anything outside the universe or anything outside our world or anything outside our realm in that sense. But for us to understand what's outside our realm is to kind of, compare to what we know of, right? And then later on, once we do this research, then we can come up with, okay, this could be wrong, this could be right. You get me? So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or when God speaks to human beings, right? I don't know whether God is a being, right? He exists. He's the creator of the world. How he created, we don't know, but he created the world. Has he got hands? We don't know, right? But God says that biyadillah, in the hands of Allah, right? So basically, God feeds in the hand, he feeds the world, in the hands of Allah. يرزق الله بيده. something like that. God fuses with his hands. So we're not taking this as literal. I'm not saying God has no hands. I'm not saying he has hands. But whatever God says to us is for him to understand from a human level. That's what I think.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying now. Your school of thought is one of they'll call Tawil, because this is Islam QA. The divine attributes are to be affirmed in the literal sense, not metaphor. And this is by a big shape. Now this is what they say. They say the correct belief should be based on what is proven by the Quran and Sunnah, as understood by the early generations, the Salaf. That's why they call them Salafi, because they take everything as they believe the earliest generation believed it.
Which is a lie.
So that, all I'm saying, that's what his school of thought. So he says, of this ummah, namely the Sahaba, Tabaeen, and leading scholars, they were unanimously agreed that the divine attributes mentioned in the Quran and Sunnah are to be affirmed without discussing how or likening to him to his creation, and without denying any of his attributes or interpreting them in a way different from the apparent meaning. We do not differentiate between any of the divine attributes, no matter what category they come under. Every divine attribute that is mentioned in the Sahih text must be affirmed. So that's why when I said to him, when he said that Christians lie about Allah having two right hands, I said, no, as a Muslim, according to his school of thought, obviously you may not agree with it, that you have to affirm Allah has two right hands, but you say, I do not know how. But then now he's saying it's allegorical, but then I'm bringing him a sheikh to say, no, as a Muslim, you're supposed to do it like this. What you're doing is Tawil and giving it now a metaphorical sense. But then your line saying the Christians invented this when clearly they didn't. And that's what I was calling him out before.
It's not a metaphor. Look, when God says that he's got hands.
Yes,
right?
but that's what I'm saying. You're taking it.
God has something.
Yes.
I'm not saying he hasn't got something. He's got something.
Yes.
But whatever he has, we don't know.
Yeah.
And we can never know.
Yeah.
But the best way that we can understand God
Yeah.
is to come to a human level,
Yeah.
or human, so that we can understand him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For example, if God spoke about things which are in the heaven,
Yeah.
okay, let me give an example. There's a hadith that talks about heaven.
Yeah, I understand your
Rasulullah says-
I understand your position, because you're coming. That's how, in a sense, a Christian would say when God says something about his hands or attributes, then we take it in a figurative way. But it's obviously because his school of thought again. Because if you ask a lot of the more learned scholars, they will say no, you have to take it in a literal sense. Obviously, people like you may
I
not.
wouldn't say more learning.
Well, more of the big scholars in Saudi Arabia as well. Yeah, if they're Salafi.
Wait.
So people that call themselves
Listen,
Salafi.
Salafi is not Islam, and Islam is not Salafi. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean,
these
that's
people,
a dispute,
it's a sect.
Yeah.
I don't believe in sectism.
Yeah.
Right? I see all Muslims as Muslims.
Yeah.
I don't believe that. For example, within Salafism itself, there's a problem. Sorry, I have to say this in a Christian YouTube channel, but that's the truth. Right? There is the division within Islam itself. So what I'm trying to say is that I'm a Muslim.
Yeah.
I do not follow no Salafi, no Shi'i, no Sunni. I see all Muslims one. Now coming back to your point, more learned. Look, most of these people, they quote scholars more than the Quran and the Hadith. So that's not more learned. If you're quoting more, so basically, I'm explaining this to you so that you know the people that you're taking from. Most of them are actually quoting human beings who are infallible. Sorry, who are basically fallible.
Yeah.
You understand? So long story short, what I'm trying to tell you is that if you want to know about Islam, go to the Quran and the Hadith and see what the Quran and the Hadith says. Does the Hadith say we should take it literal, or does it say we should take it? Don't listen to these people. For example, now you showed me an article written by certain people. It does not quote the Hadith, it does not quote the Quran, but rather it quotes what? A sheikh. And a scholar. Why is that? There was a debate a few years ago. There was two sects. None of them quoted the Quran. It's shocking, but none of them quoted the Quran. They were books and books and books on top of each other. So right now we have placed scholars above the Quran and Hadith. So I'm telling you this because I want, as a Christian, please go to the Quran and the Sunnah.
So do you think people like Shamsi have placed the scholars above the Quran?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you go to Shamsi right now, most of it what he will quote about, for example, let's say if there's a different sect and you were trying to talk to him, he will quote, they follow a certain sheikh who believes that the Arabs should be above a different nation, because, they believe that the Arabs should be above the rest of the world, right, after al-alam, simply because the Prophet comes from it. And that's a lie. The Prophet's not an Arab. When we trace his lineage, Abraham comes from the land of Ur. That's historical, right? That's the land of the Persians. right? So by roots, the Prophet is a Persian, not an Arab. It just so happens that he was born in an Arab world. The Quraysh are not Arab. This happens that they married within the Arab females, not even the males, because the male lineage always continues. You get me? So in that sense,
So then how would you then interpret the Quran if you read something in the Quran?
what do you mean?
Like if you're reading Allah's attributes or even just certain verses, how do you then get clarification from vague verses or something? Because obviously you said people quote scholars, so
That's a good question. Look, there are things that we should, for example, these scholars, the so-called scholars, they differ on many ideas, and most of them they add what do you call philosophical ideas to it. There are people that I follow, and these guys hate them. They hate them. You know why? Because these people that I follow, they believe that, you know what, despite the little differences about the sectism in Islam, we should come on the table and discuss the differences, but still unite under the Quran and the Hadith. Forget the sectism. These people don't want that. And these people that I'm talking about are Mufti Menk, Sheikh Raghi, Saeed Raghi, what's it called, Nu'man Ali Khan. Listen to, if you want to know the Quran, this guy knows the Quran from page to page, and he will tell you. But the reason why, listen, these people,
wasn't that who Yaqub brought in his debate about Solomon, Mufti Menk?
I think so. I'm not
Yeah.
quite sure about that.
Yeah, but Mufti Menk, look. When you wanna know who's right, who's wrong. See, these people, they got a little, they move in gangs, right? They always look at them. They're always moving in gangs.
Why was Shamsi lying about the Christians? What that we invented? The
Come off camera if you want to ask me a question.
yeah, you can ask me. You can answer. You can answer off camera.
I'm his kryptonite. That's why he's running away.
Yeah, you can answer off camera.
be
But
honest, you smell
I'm
it,
not
that's
saying why was he lying upon the Christians to say why was he lying on the Christians to say we invented saying Allah has two right
Touch my
hands.
camera. Don't touch my camera.
Don't put it on.
Don't
Yeah, you can-
touch
you can
my
speak-
don't
you
touch
can
my
speak
camera.
off camera.
Don't touch my camera. Don't touch my cam.
We go on a quick for the
We go. Don't worry, we go. But don't touch my cam. Don't touch my cam. Don't touch my cam. Alright.
You called him.
Yeah.
got him here.
For me, I don't want to. I told you I'm here. Want to come talk to me?
we can speak off camera.
But
But
take the walk if you want to take the walk. It's fine.
We'll walk. Don't worry. We'll walk.
But yeah, that was just my main issue with Shandy because he tried to say we were lying about something, when we said Allah had two right hands, but Christians are just getting it from the Salafis. So it's not our fault if there's but we're not inventing it. He's saying we just got this from the Hadith and lied upon what the Hadith is saying. But if we're showing some scholars, you may not agree with them, but if they're saying, then people are just listening to, it's not our job to interpret what's there. We're only saying back what the scholars say. So you cannot then lie and say the Christians are lying upon something when we can see within the Islamic tradition, maybe not everyone may agree with it because you don't, but we've not lied about it. We're just quoting your scholars. So if you were talking about Christianity, people here quote Bar Ehrman, for example. I don't follow Bar Ehrman, but they'll still quote him and say, oh, but your scholar said, do you know what I mean? So it's that same thing. So as long as you're citing a source, then fair enough. But he's obviously lying upon the community, and we can clearly see as well, you believe that Salafis are quite a fringe.
Yeah.
Fringe,
Within the Salaf itself, it's broken.
Yeah.
So all I believe in, one ummah, one Islam, one God, one religion, one people. That's what I believe in. Inshallah, I believe in.
Thank you very much. God bless you, bro.